Gabonese went through an election on Saturday. This was a referendum to choose whether to remain with the existing constitution or to move forward to another constitution henceforth. Well, Gabon is a country that has been under one family for a period of 56 years. Omar Bongo took over the reins of power in 1967 all through to 2009. Thereafter, his son Ali Bongo took over the reins of power from 2009 all the way to 2023 August 30th. It is during that time when Brice Oligui Nguema, the general at the military at that time, took over the reins of power through a bloodless coup and has been president of Gabon ever since. It is Brice Oligui Nguema that is supporting the new constitution in Gabon. This is after pressure from Western country that Gabon has to go through a democratic process and not a military coup. Now, it is important to also note that this is the 8th coup in that wider region. We're talking about the Western Africa and Central Africa region. This was the 8th coup in that region. Well, in this video, we're going to highlight key important aspects of this new constitution, and we're also going to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly of this new constitution, be it that it is supported by Brice Oligui Nguema, the one who took over power through a military coup in Gabon. Well, this is Bonafide. Thank you for the 3,000 subscriptions that we have had so far. And I ask you, if you haven't subscribed, to subscribe and like and leave a comment regarding this topic. Well, this is the good. The referendum that was held on Saturday in Gabon is seen as a progress towards democratically elected governments. This is the step that every government that is from such a situation that Gabon has found itself in needs to take. That there is a need to change the constitution, to analyze the rules that have been at play in the country, see whether they are working, change what is not working and retain what is working, to make sure that the country moves from one step to another into electing the people that they want, that the nationals feel part of the conversation in the country. Well, Gabon is taking that step by effecting a new constitution. That is the roadmap to democracy. That is a very good thing. Second, it is also important because this constitution has provided a way for there to be checks in power. And I can go through the nuggets that this constitution has offered. The constitution offers a 7-term limits on the presidency. That means that we are not going to have a president in perpetuity. A president will be limited to 2 7-year terms, that is 14 years maximum. It is also important to point out that the constitution has removed the prime minister position. Also, the constitution recognizes French as Gabon's working language and has banned family members from succeeding a president. Therefore, there cannot be another Bongo moment where a family member is succeeding the president of the day. But it is also important to note at this point that Brice Oligui Nguema is a cousin to Ali Bongo. Therefore, there are still blood ties when we are talking about the presidency in Gabon. Well, it is also important to note that there have been checks in power when you're talking about the new constitution that is being introduced in Gabon, because we are seeing that the laws have been put out clearly. The role of the president, the role of the parliament, the role of the judiciary are well laid out. Also, there are term limits. That means that one cannot be a president for eternity, as the Bongos would like, because before his ouster, Ali Bongo was still holding on to power. He didn't want to leave power. Despite the fact that he held an election that was a sham, there were no invited observers to these elections. No one from outside went to have an oversight or see how the elections have been conducted. This is in contrast to what happened on Saturday, what was the first election in Brice Oligui Nguema's reign, because he invited the African Union. Also, the regional body, Central African regional body, was also invited to oversee the elections. Therefore, it was a different kind of election where observers were invited to go and see how the election will be conducted so that there would not be any cries outside that the elections were not free and fair. So this count as the good when you're talking about the new constitution that is being introduced in Gabon. Well, let's go to the bad, and we're going to start with the term limits. While now we have two 7-year term limits, as earlier stated, it is important to note that we are now from a 5-year term to a 7-year term. That means that a president in Gabon is going to stay constitutionally, a president in Gabon is going to stay for a longer period of time. Because Ali Bongo's reign, this constitution that exists currently in Gabon, allows a president to be in office for only five years. But this new constitution proposes that a president will be in power for a period of 7 years. So if the full term of a president during the existing constitution was 10 years, the full term of a president in this new constitution will be 14 years. That is an addition of 4 more years to a president who will go through a full term. So that is one of the negatives that we are seeing in this constitution. Another negative, or the bad, that we are seeing from this constitution is the fact that the prime minister, or the role of the prime minister, has been removed. So now we are having power consolidated to the presidency. The president now has power to even fire or hire the vice president. The president has been given power to dissolve parliament when he sees fit. So we are seeing a consolidation of power to the presidency, which is not a very good thing, given the fact that we are from a government that has been in power for 56 good years, and we want to transition to another government that should give hope to the nationals of Gabon. Mind you, Gabon is one of the richest countries in Africa. It has very vast oil reserves in the country. It has very many different rich minerals in the country. So Gabon has a lot to offer to the world. And that is why you're seeing many countries were interested in the change in power. Many countries have also been interested to ensure that Gabon goes through a smooth change in power and constitutional changes. This is the reason as to why Gabon is different from many other countries that you're seeing in West Africa that underwent coups, and no one really is very, very much concerned about them. But people are concerned about Gabon, and that should be a matter of concern, as well as it should also be a matter to give hope to Gabonese that there is some change in constitution, but the change should not come at a price. So what we are seeing is that in this new constitution, should it be accepted, should it be passed, the president will have more power, and more power in the hands of one individual is often not a good thing, more so in Africa. We know that how that has been used across different countries. Well, now let's go to the ugly, or as I would like to call it, the reality. The reality is that while all transitional leaders have been banned from running for presidency, the Gabon leader, Brice Oligui Nguema, the leader who took over from the coup, is allowed to vie for another term. And what do we mean here? He's still the president. He has been the president for this 1 and a few months. And the elections are perceived to be held next year on August. That means that by that time, Brice Oligui Nguema will have gone for 2 good years. And this, as he says, is just the transitional phase. This is not him serving as his term. That means that if this constitution will be passed, and by February, as it is noted, they will start having that discussion to have an election later in the year, that is on August. It means that the Gabonese president, Brice Oligui Nguema, can go for another mandate. It will not be another mandate per se, it will be his first term, meaning that if he goes through the full term, Brice Oligui Nguema would serve for a total of 16 good years. Well, I don't know what dictatorship is, but when it comes to the number of years, you can be the better judge of how many years 16 will be to make someone to stick in power. So basically, if Brice Oligui Nguema goes for a full term, he will be in power for 16 good years from last year in this new constitution. And the fact that other leaders in the Transitional Council have been banned from running and he is the only one who is exempted gives you a clue of how things are going to be even in this new constitution, given the fact that right now Gabonese are expecting to have someone new, someone fresh in the mandate, but there seems to be a conversation that the Gabonese leader, Brice Oligui Nguema, will be allowed to vie for presidency in 2025 August. Now that time is too long. 16 years or 14 years or 15 years will be too long for someone to serve. It means that during this time there can be a lot. As we've seen in Africa in different countries, time is of the essence. When you're talking about leaders who are in power, if they are given even 2 years, 2 more years, a lot can change in that 2 more years. And this is a leader who has just stepped in power, speaks almost what the language that people want to hear. But at the same time, if you look closely at this constitution, this new constitution, it is giving him the mandate to serve for a longer period of time. It has increased the term limits from 5 years to 7 years. It has also given him the chance now to legally go for 14 fresh years after he has served for 2 years. That will be enough time for Bryce Oligui Nguema to change whatever he wants to change and to stick in power for a longer term. Perhaps the silver lining is the fact that this new constitution also bans presidents from endorsing their kins. It bans presidents from having family members as successors. That is the silver lining, that we're not going to have another Ali Bongo or Omar Bongo or whatever coming from the line of succession from the person who is in power. Well, that is the simple analysis of what is happening in Gabon, the simple analysis of the fact that Gabon is going to have a new constitution, and the one who is championing for this constitution, this new constitution per se, is the president of the day who took over power through a coup. And that is the reality. The fact that he can vie once more and then yet again for a second term to run for 14 good years, and then will have served 2 years and say that these 2 years were for the transition phase. So what do you think about the constitution in Gabon, the good, the bad, and the ugly? Which one do you think weighs more? Is it the ugly, the good, or the bad? Or the fact that Gabonese have gone to another step, that they are choosing a new constitution? That is a good thing. But we still have the realities that this current president will serve for a very, very long time.